All right. Um, yeah, this is gonna be it's a weird episode, I guess, in somehow, some way. Not starting it off like I usually do, all pumped up and excited. Though I am pumped up and excited to bring you another episode. But with just everything that's going on in the world right now, it's a crazy place to live, honestly. What a crazy year 2020 has been so far, especially not just in the world of pro wrestling, not only in the sports world, but in the world in general. So if you are listening to this, I want to thank you guys for listening to this. Click that like and subscribe button. Comment down. Let me know what you think down below. I know it's a tough time right now in the world, but hopefully I can distract you guys for the next 45 minutes to an hour or maybe a little bit more, just so you can just forget about what's going on in the world, which is one of the reasons why I love pro wrestling, because you can watch it and pay attention and just forget about what's going on in the world. Now, with everything that is going on in the world, it is affecting the sports world and pro wrestling as we know it as well. From the cancellation of the remainder of the NBA season, the NHL season, postponing the MLS season, canceling March Madness, all that stuff. And especially with what happened yesterday on Friday Night Smackdown and on NXT, that both shows were at the Performance Center. You know, I wanted to start it off this episode coming out with basically all the sad news, I guess, all the negative news to start that off. But it's gonna be a good episode. I'm gonna have a big portion talking about my experience at AEW Dynamite, which was this past Wednesday. Which it looks like it might have been the last episode with the big audience for a while for AEW Dynamite. So that was pretty fun. Took advantage, went out to that out here in Utah. And then the following day on Thursday is when the governor said, hey, no meetings, no gatherings of 100 or more people, at 100 or less. So it was pretty blessed that we were able to go out the day before they made that announcement. But if you guys are listening to this again, like I said, thank you. Stay safe. Do what you got to do wherever you are listening to this, and wherever in the world you are listening to this. Stay safe. It's a crazy world. I was out at the stores today. People are going crazy. We just bought, we stacked up a little bit on food, the most, because that's the most important thing, food. And, people are going crazy buying water and toilet paper like crazy. I mean, I understand it. Everybody reacts to news differently. But I don't know if you're religious or not. If you're listening to this, I am. I'm not going to put it on here, but all I got to say, though, is just, prayers to all of you listening, to everyone in the world. And, may God help us all in the end, that we can all get past this. And I know when we all get past this as a nation, as a country, as a world in general, we will be coming out of this on the other side. And, yeah, we'll be stronger than ever before. So now that we're done with that, let's get into it. Again, microphone check 1, 2. This is Kevin. Welcome to the First Pin Podcast. We got one hell of a show from all the wrestling results that happened this week, the wrestling news and rumors. I'm going to go through all my talking points, and I'm going to give, and pretty much in the end, I'm going to give you guys my experience at AEW Dynamite this past week. It was an awesome show. So let's jump right into it with all of the wrestling results. Starting off with what happened last Sunday at Elimination Chamber. We had the Viking Raiders defeated Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. It was on the pre-show. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. It was an okay match. They just went through Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins pretty fast. I guess kind of showing a dominance of the Viking Raiders, though the Viking Raiders have been booked 50-50 lately, so that, it is what it is. After that, we had Daniel Bryan defeated Drew Gulak. Now, this was a really good match. If you got, probably the biggest thing you guys heard from this match was the nasty suplex that Daniel Bryan took, that it looked like he almost broke his neck again. But luckily he didn't, and he came out through it on the other side. And honestly, these guys were going back and forward, and they put on a really good, I think, 10, 15-minute match. My biggest thing when I saw this was please don't let it be another Daniel Bryan and Heath Slater that it's just over quickly. And, and it wasn't. It was a really good 10 to 15 minute match. If out of all the matches, I think that's the match that I recommend the most watching out of this Elimination Chamber. These guys were just going at it on some on some Noah Strong style, or whatever style you want to say that was. It was just some really good wrestling. After that, we had Andrade defeat Humberto Carrillo to defend his United States champion. Now, this was another really good match, but it did surprise me that Andrade did retain. I didn't think he was going to because of everything that he was coming off of suspension and all that. So I thought that there was going to be a title change in the end. After that, we had Miz and Morrison retain their titles in the SmackDown Tag Team Elimination Chamber match. That match, it was a good match. It was entertaining. They had some high spots and all that stuff. The biggest thing, though, that I took away from that was when Otis got his hands on Dolph Ziggler. Oh, man. That was just ridiculous. He had the chance to destroy Dolph Ziggler, and he didn't, and that really pissed me off. I was just like, dude, with everything that's going on between them, it's just like you had the chance and you didn't do anything. So that was a big letdown. I was surprised Miz and Morrison retained it. I don't think they need the titles, but we'll see what happens at WrestleMania. I think they will lose their titles at Mania, but who knows? It was, in the end, it was between Miz and Morrison, the New Day, and the Usos. Then the New Day got eliminated by Miz and Morrison, and then Miz and Morrison eliminated the Usos. So it was an okay match. A lot of high spots, some misses, and all that. But it is what it is. It was a good match. This was an okay pay-per-view comparing to some of the other ones they've done. I think this was a way better pay-per-view than Super Showdown. That's for sure. After that, we had Aleister Black defeated AJ Styles in a no DQ match. So my biggest thing with this whole Aleister Black winning, it was cool. It was fun to see him win, especially after what happened to him last week on Raw. But the biggest thing is AJ Styles came out with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Why is it that as soon as it was a no DQ match, why is it that as soon as the bell rang, these guys didn't go in and go after Aleister Black? I mean, it was cool, maybe a little bit too long, but it was cool that, it was that these guys were able to actually do a good match compared to what I thought was going to happen. And towards the end, when the OC were in there, when Gallows and Anderson were in there, they were holding up Aleister Black for AJ to do the flying forearm, and then Undertaker came and chokeslam AJ Styles, which then led into Styles getting up after selling it for a minute or two, and Aleister Black just hit him with the black mask and finished him there. Then we had the Street Profits defeated Seth Rollins and Murphy to retain their Raw Tag Team Championships. Yeah, my biggest thing about it is just why can't we have the Street Profits defeat Rollins and Murphy clean? We had interference from Kevin Owens again, and it was unnecessary, honestly. Kevin Owens didn't really hit. He didn't attack anybody, but he did distract Rollins enough. So, I mean, why can't we just put the Street Profits over clean? I mean, I guess in a way they did, but not really, not when you're having Kevin Owens out there. Then after that, we had Sami Zayn became the new Intercontinental Champion after him, Shinsuke, and Cesaro defeated Braun Strowman. Now, the biggest thing is that a lot of people were pissed off because, they're like, oh, how can they do this to Braun Strowman once again? Look, Sami Zayn is a good heel. He's good on their microphone. I don't think Braun needs this Intercontinental Champion. I wouldn't mind seeing him one day as a WWE or Universal Champion. But honestly, you guys got to understand is look how they book their big superstars. They're not their big superstars, but they're big guys. They're super big guys, right? Look at Big Show. He wasn't ever really booked well. He was turning heel and face more than you could really count on your hand. Kane, he got an okay push. The one that got a good push out of all of these guys, Mark Henry got a really good push. Undertaker, of course, Undertaker's a legend, but someone like Big Show. The biggest one that you can compare, I guess, Braun to is Big Show, and Big Show wasn't really pushed well. He did win championships, but not the way that you would book someone to be a monster, especially Braun, who is a monster among men. And my biggest thing on the whole Sami Zayn, he's a really good wrestler. If you guys go back and watch the match him and Shinsuke had in NXT, and him and Samoa Joe when they wrestled the 2 out of 3 falls for an entire hour, or maybe not an entire hour, but it was like an entire 40 minutes. Like, dude, Sami Zayn can go. So I really hope that he does go as the Intercontinental Champion. And I think it was like over 1,000 days since the last. It was like 1,700 and something days since he won his NXT championship. Since the last time he won any championship since move. It's his first championship that he won since he got moved to the main roster. So I am really happy that he was able to win that. Then in the end, we had Shayna Baszler won the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Now, the biggest thing about this match was everything that happened. They booked her kind of like, I guess, in a way, the woman version of Brock Lesnar. But the problem that everybody had was that, she got in and she basically went through everybody, but there was two times where she was waiting for Liv Morgan and then she was waiting for Asuka that kind of had the people not really interested. The way that I would have done it, I would have had Baszler be the one to to get out of the pod last, had everybody in there, and then have her go through everybody. So it would have been, a little bit better than the way that they actually booked it. Because I feel like the way that they booked it, some people were pissed off. Not because the way that she showed dominance, but more in the way that all the waiting that was going on. It's just like, dude, ain't nobody wants to see somebody wait. Like, I get it. It's kind of showing some kind of dominance. They got what they wanted to get across to the fans. But, it is what it is on that one. Now let's get on to everything that happened this week. Starting off with
Monday Night Raw.
To start off the show, we had Rey Mysterio. Well, I'm going through the matches. I'll go through all the promos that happened on each show after. But it started off with Rey Mysterio defeating Angel Garza. That was a really good match. It was cool to see Rey Mysterio picked up the win on Angel Garza. It's going to be exciting to see if these guys are going to keep going back and forward every week. After that, we had Bobby Lashley defeated Zack Ryder in another enhancement match or whatever. Then we had Drew McIntyre defeated Eric Rowan, which led to the scene that everyone's talking about when he picked up the steel steps and smashed that Eric Rowan's pig spider, fake spider or whatever. Then after that, we had finally the Kabuki Warriors teamed up and defeated Natalya and Liv Morgan. After that, we had Riddick Moss defeat Cedric Alexander to retain his 24/7 title. Then we had Aleister Black defeated Seth Rollins via DQ, which then led into Seth Rollins, Murphy, and AOP defeating the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. My biggest thing that I got to say is why did we have to see, again, Rollins, Murphy, AOP, Street Profits, and Viking Raiders? I mean, I get it. It's a difference. It's not Joe and Owens, but, man, it's the same thing that, And the biggest thing, I think the best thing that happened out of all Raw was basically the promos. And I'll get into the promos and everything else that happened. So now let's get into the Wednesday Night Wars, starting off with
AEW Dynamite.
To start off, we had Cody defeated Ortiz. After that, we had Nyla Rose and Bea Priestley defeated Shida and Chris Statlander. MJF and the Butcher and the Blade then defeated the Jurassic Express. After that, we had the Death Triangle of Pac, Pentagon, and Phoenix defeated Private Party and Joey Janela. Then we had Hangman Page and Dustin Rhodes defeated Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Now, that's all I'm going to say about AEW because I am, after I go through all the rest of the results, news and rumors, and the talking points, I am going to end with my experience about AEW, so I'll talk more about that. Now let's get into
Wednesday Night NXT.
It started off with Keith Lee defeated Cameron Grimes to retain his North American Championship. Then we had Mia Yim defeated Dakota Kai to earn a spot in the ladder match at NXT Takeover to determine the next number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. Then we had Kushida defeated Raul Mendoza, Tegan Knox defeated Deonna Purrazzo, and then we had the Broserweights defeated Undisputed Era to retain their NXT Tag Team Champions. That was a really good match. Really wasn't expecting Undisputed Era to win. I knew the Broserweights were because it looks like NXT is really trying to develop that tag team division, which has been lacking for a while. And then also that Tegan Knox, her defeating Deonna Purrazzo, she did also earn a spot in that ladder match for NXT TakeOver. But NXT was a really good show. The promos that happened is what really elevated NXT to be a really good show more than the matches. They are lacking some storylines a bit. I think the match that was just thrown together was the Kushida and Mendoza, but I mean, I understand why. But yeah, man, NXT was a good show, as always is. They are lacking a bit of that storylines, but when I get to the talking points, there are, I guess, three really good stories that are going on NXT that should make you want to tune in. So now let's talk about
Friday Night Smackdown.
Now, SmackDown, this is where it was a weird show, right? Because it was at the Performance Center in an empty arena. And there was only 3 matches. Well, 3, they showed one match from the Elimination Chamber, which was the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. So the only 3 matches they had was Sasha Banks and Bayley defeated Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, Daniel Bryan defeated Cesaro, and Jeff Hardy defeated King Corbin. So like I said, it was a very it was it was a little weird when SmackDown went on air, everything that happened. Triple H and Michael Cole were commentary, and it was cool to see Triple H as commentary. He was having fun. Him and Michael Cole looked like they were having fun in a way, especially with all the serious stuff that is going on. Sorry, lost my voice on Wednesday and has not come back yet. So, yeah, it was a really good week of wrestling. You really can't deny, like I said, Elimination Chamber. I give it at least, I'll give it a 3.5 out of, 3.5 stars or whatever. It was, it was a C plus B minus show compared. Like I said, it was way better to me. This was way better than Super Showdown, but it is what it is. Like I said, it was a good week of wrestling. Like it always is. This next week's gonna be interesting, and I'll get to that right now on why it's gonna be an interesting week. But yeah, that's pretty much it for all the results. So now let's get into your wrestling news and rumors.
Here are your wrestling news and rumors.
So Finn Balor was at NXT UK. He did have a match. He ended up beating one of Walter's guys from Imperium. So that was pretty cool. That's something that I thought was some really good to put, because they are going to go into that story of Finn Balor and Walter. Let me see if I can search actually real quick. Anyway, so let me keep going. Now, the biggest thing that happened this week, well, one of the big things wrestler-wise, was Scott Steiner was rushed to the hospital during one of the Impact tapings that happened on last Friday. So this happened, this happened last Friday. Tommy Dreamer was talking about it on Busted Open, saying that I guess he had some kind of heart problems. Out of nowhere, he went into some kind of like cardiac arrest or something, that he was basically on the verge of dying. But luckily, the EMTs, everybody that was there was able to help him. They got him to the hospital and they did the surgery that was needed, and he is expected to make a full recovery. After that, we had in the news, Sue Young is reportedly a free agent. If you guys don't know her, she is from Impact Wrestling. She kind of does that weird, dark gimmick, I guess, kind of like I think they kind of say it's kind of like of a dead bride. So it's gonna be interesting. She is still working with Impact. I'm guessing it is more on a event to event basis. Like a lot of people do that. Like they'll be done with their contract with the company, but they'll be like, I'll keep working with you guys. Pay me this much per each time I am on TV or at each taping. Pay me this much until I decide whether I'm going to sign a full contract with you guys or go somewhere else. Also in the news, WWE got indie wrestler David Starr fired. It had to do basically that WWE is working with some promotion where David Starr was, and I guess he is someone that has always bad mouthed the WWE, which resulted in basically him getting fired because of that, because that company didn't want to tarnish the relationship that they were building with the WWE. Now, according to Wrestling Inc., Ricochet this week appeared on Main Event. I have not checked out Main Event, but he did get on. He did perform on Main Event. I think he had a match against Eric Young, if I am mistaken or not. Also, we had the announcement that next week we are going to see, or basically in 2 days, whatever, this coming Monday, we're going to see the contract signing between AJ Styles and an Undertaker to confirm their WrestleMania 36 match. Ricochet also had an interview. I wish I would have wrote down where. Sorry, I'm getting, I'll get better at these. But Ricochet was basically saying that he is open to going back to NXT. That that is always going to be his first home in the WWE, and that he is open to going back. So do it. Just do it. Send him back to NXT. If you're gonna have him on Main Event, and you're not going to want to put him on Raw anymore for whatever reason, whether he's getting buried or not, then do it. Send him to NXT where he can go and show everybody exactly what he has always been able to do. After that, Triple H was named the WWE executive vice. Triple H was named WWE Executive Vice President of Global Talent Strategy and Development. Now, the biggest thing that I heard about this is basically he got a quiet demotion. That he's not in charge, I guess, of signing talent, or I don't. Man, like I said, it's been a crazy week for me to have all this information. I wish I should be having all this information in front of me, but I'm keeping this real with you guys, letting you guys know that, like I said, it's been a crazy week for all of us. And let me see if I can find. All right. I'll go back to that. I'll go back into talking about that whole Triple H thing. Also, it wasn't 100% confirmed, but it looks like WWE will be signing Rob Gronkowski, a 3-time Super Bowl champion from the New England Patriots, ex-NFL player from the New England Patriots. Apparently, he will be signing with the WWE. I mean, I have mixed thoughts about that. You have talent, why not use them? But I understand what the other argument is, which is, okay, he's a big name. Well, not a super big name, but he is a big name coming in. He loves wrestling. He's talked about it a lot, that he's always loved wrestling, that he's always wanted to get into the business. So as long as he has love for the show, love for the business, I think he should do fine. It's going to be interesting to see which way he's really going to go into it as a WWE superstar. I hope that he is a good wrestler, and I hope he can put on good matches and bring more eyes, bring the normal casual fan into WWE just because it's him, or even, however thousands of fans that they have that are Patriots, why not have them become WWE fans, even if it's just for him? But again, it's more fans, ratings go up once they start having live. Once they start putting the fans back in the arena, if that goes up, whatever the case is, I understand WWE is trying to do everything they can to get those ratings up because, maybe it's not really a war between NXT and AEW, but it is a war between WWE and AEW. Not that that signing's in affect AEW in any way, because the whole report is that he will be on Friday Night SmackDown next Friday. So we'll see how that goes, but wish him well. Anybody who's coming into the WWE always got to wish him well, especially if they're going to be bringing in, especially if they're already a big star, if they're going to be bringing in different eyes, new eyes, old eyes, whatever the case is, always got to wish him well. Now, AAA Lucha Libre announced 2 matches for Triple Mania 27, which I do have in the talking points, so we'll get into that. And their Triple Mania is in August. So that's pretty cool that these guys are already announcing matches for August. I don't know how the whole virus thing is down there. I heard that it's not bad at all, so we'll see. Hopefully it stays like that, and hopefully these guys can put on their show in August. Now let's get into this whole WrestleMania thing. Now, so far, this is all the news that happened this week regarding WrestleMania, right? Florida banned all mass gatherings for the next 30 days. Then, after having the city meeting with the city of Tampa, the whole thing is so far WrestleMania 36 will go on so far as of now. They said that could change next week. So what they're basically kind of trying to do is they're trying to have the WWE either cancel or reschedule it without the city of Tampa having to force their hand, which I will talk about in a bit on the whole WrestleMania 36 situation. Now, AEW to postpone their next 2 weeks of AEW Dynamite because of what is going on. Now, what I've heard is that their next 2 shows will be, I think I don't know if they're gonna do both shows in Jacksonville, Florida, because supposedly next week was supposed to be live from the Daily's place, and that it was gonna be managed under a restricted attendance policy. But now I heard that it's gonna be empty arenas for the next 2 weeks for AEW Dynamite. So, yeah, I don't know what's really gonna happen there. Let me look. Let me see if I can find you guys some more information as I'm recording this. Also in the news, basically saying that Sami Callihan took to Twitter himself. I should have saved. Let me check. I should have saved those tweets, but he's saying that he's basically done wrestling until this whole COVID-19 is contained and or over with, or whatever the case is, which is something that Tony Khan said as well. He was basically saying, hey, you know what? If my wrestlers don't want to, if the wrestlers don't want to show up and don't want to get involved, they don't want to wrestle because of what's going on, then there's no use of making them wrestle. That they're not going to lose their push, they're not going to lose their spot. That he understands. Let me see. Ah, oh yeah. Let's see. Yeah, let me check. I'm checking my notes. Sorry, guys. Let's see what else I can find. Yeah. And then also, like I said, WrestleVotes tweeted, I think they tweeted it yesterday, saying that Monday Night Raw was going to get moved to the Performance Center as well. Like I said, who knows? I'm guessing probably for the next 30, maybe not 30 days, but probably for the next 2 weeks, Raw, SmackDown, NXT will be coming live from the Performance Center. NXT did this week, they had like 200 fans in attendance, something like that. I am expecting that WWE, that Raw, SmackDown, and NXT for them will be all empty arenas. It is going to take some getting used to, but we'll see how that really goes for them. I hope it goes good. I haven't seen the numbers for SmackDown. I haven't seen the numbers for SmackDown to really see how that really is affecting the business. So now let's get into it. Let's get into all the talking points that I want to go through. So we basically already did go through the Elimination Chamber. So now let's talk about Edge returning to Monday Night Raw. I mean, I do like that he did return a Raw. Maybe not the way that he did. I get it. Maybe they're doing it is that they don't want the story to carry too long. They just want to. And I'm surprised they haven't announced it already. But basically saying, oh, that's going to be interesting. I'll share that news right now. He basically returned when after MVP came out saying that that he wants to help Edge get back to the top and this and that. Then Edge came out and basically he speared MVP or whatever. Then Randy came out. Then he hit Randy with the RKO, and he was gonna go and get the chair and hit him with the concerto to Randy, but Randy escaped. So instead, he did the concerto to MVP. Why? That did not make any sense at all. Randy Orton ran to the top of the stage. Why not go after Orton himself? But no, instead you're going to hit the concerto to MVP. That was kind of messed up in a way. I mean, I get it. Maybe they did plan it, right? But, I mean, MVP was just trying to help. Maybe he didn't approach him the best way. But still, I think it would have been better to see Edge return with at least like a neck brace or whatever, kind of make it more of a dramatic scene. But he came back like a savage. He came back like a savage that, the same way that Randy Orton is the savage, going crazy, the legend killer, whatever the case is. This crazy psycho Randy Orton character that we're getting again. And then Edge, like I said, Edge came out wanting to get revenge for everything that happened. But, I think I would have dragged the story a little bit on because we know that we're going to get this at WrestleMania, whether WrestleMania goes on or not. But still, moving on, Becky Lynch addressed Shayna Baszler. Now, this was a really good promo. It wasn't forced. I know the last 2 weeks been critical about everything that she's been saying, but the promo that she did drop on Baszler was really good. Put Shayna Baszler over. We'll see how that's going to respond this coming Monday. Hopefully Shayna can drop a really good promo to, when one drops a good promo, the other one has to drop a good promo so they can kind of build up that anticipation. After that, Charlotte Flair came out and was addressed by Rhea Ripley, which kind of led into them having a little bit of a tussle. And, it left Rhea Ripley standing tall in the end. Now, one of the biggest things that I've been hearing is the possible chance of The Undertaker returning as the American Badass against AJ Styles at WrestleMania 36. And that all has to do with AJ Styles, the way that he drops his promo on Monday Night Raw and the way that he talked about Taker on WWE backstage, right? On Monday Night Raw, he was, he called him Mark Calloway. He talked about his wife. He talked about, he kind of talked about Taker like if he knew him. Now, Bully Ray on Busted Open was kind of saying, and I did kind of agree because it is true. He's like, the promo was a good promo, but it wasn't a promo for AJ Styles. It should have been for someone who's known Taker for a long time. When Styles came in 2016, Undertaker was no longer a full-timer. It should have been for someone who was a full-timer with the Undertaker when Undertaker was still a full-timer. So it could result in that because we've all heard Taker talk about it, that he would like to have another match as that character. I think it would be awesome if there is a time for him to return as that character, especially let's say he has maybe another match or two left. I'm going to say 3 matches left. Probably 3 more WrestleManias before he's completely gone. Why not come back as that character and display him for the world to see? It's been so long since he's been that character that I think it would be awesome to see that once again. Now, going back to AAA Lucha Libre, they announced Pagano versus Chessman, and I think it's supposed to be a Cabellera versus Cabellera, hair versus hair match. That's going to be a good match. And then we also have Dragon and Aerostar versus Octagon Jr. and Mysticis Jr. versus Dave the Clown and La Parca Negra versus Pentagon and Phoenix for a mask versus mask, which means all these guys wear a mask and a mask will fall. My thing about that is we kind of know who's going to drop a mask. I'm guessing it's going to be either Dave the Clown or La Parca Negra, which are the heels, the rudos in AAA. I would be surprised if any of the other guys do. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's going to be Party Dragon," but I'm surprised though that we're not going to see Dragon versus Blue Demon at Triple Mania because these guys were having a rivalry, which is weird that that thing would just get pushed off like that. So a mask will fall, and that's going to be pretty fun and exciting. It always is when someone loses their mask because the exciting part is what happens after. How is their career going to shape after that? We've seen careers go to the next level, and then we've seen careers fall down completely. Another thing I want to talk about is the controversy finish between Eddie Edwards and Michael Elgin that happened this week on Impact. So the match basically in the end had Eddie Edwards pinning Elgin, but Elgin had a submission on Edwards that resulted into him tapping out. Basically, he tapped out when the ref counted for 3. They had 2 refs in that situation. And it was cool to see a controversy finish like that, which then resulted in Blanchard coming out saying that she will face both of them, that she will put the title on the line in a triple threat against both of them at, I think, Impact Wrestling's Rebellion. I think that's sometime in April. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that, but yeah. After that, we had Lance Archer debuted on AEW Dynamite. And the biggest thing that I really love this debut because a lot of people were like, oh, I felt like his debut was just like, meh. It wasn't really a good debut because, look, because we're used to the debuts that everyone is used to, right? We're used to a run-in or coming down to the ring and cutting a promo. He was sitting, he wasn't that far from where we were, and he was just sitting down with Jake Roberts. They were talking, looking at Cody, evaluating Cody, kind of, looking at what Cody does. And it was a whole different way to debut because some people were like, oh, I was expecting him to interrupt the match or come out and beat him up. Now, the crazy thing is he basically came out during the first 2 minutes of Cody's match, which was crazy because I was just like that. And then out of nowhere, I see Jake the Snake, and I was kind of looking, and I was like, oh, dude, that's Lance Archer. And I was like, dude, the match just started. That's a crazy way to make a debut, right? To basically, the show starts, the match, the first match just starts. Yes, the guy that you are going after, Cody, is in that match. So you decide, hey, I'm going to come out right away and not interrupt. That was a really good debut. It is something that is completely different than what we are used to seeing, and that's why I liked it. Then we also had on AEW Inner Circle. After that match, cut a promo. After the Cody match, they cut a promo basically showing that they injured Nick Jackson, and Nick Jackson was rushed to the hospital, which I think will result into possibly Jon Moxley being part of the elite team for Blood and Guts whenever that is going to happen. Now, if it was going to happen in 2 weeks, my guess was we're going to have Moxley and even Darby Allin join in on that match because Kenny Omega did not wrestle on Wednesday because he had a messed up wrist that he injured at Revolution. So that's what I think it was at Revolution. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's what I thought. That's what I think would happen. But who knows? Especially since I think I saw that they are going to, I don't know if they are going to do Blood and Guts. I think they are going to reschedule that match. So who knows? We'll see how it goes by then. Then let's get into the promos from NXT. Rhea Ripley came out, cut a promo, which then led into Charlotte Flair attacking her. And the whole thing about that promo, it was a good promo because these guys are doing, these girls are doing what they can every week to build up that match for WrestleMania, which is really good compared to the Roman Reigns and Goldberg, which I will talk about that right now, the promo that Roman dropped that I really liked on Friday. So basically, they went at it, and yeah, Charlotte Flair was, in the end, she was the one standing tall this time. So that's pretty cool, Rhea was standing tall on Monday, and then Flair was standing tall on Wednesday. Then we had Velveteen Dream was basically talking to the Undisputed Era, to Adam Cole in particular, saying, hey, I want that NXT championship at NXT TakeOver Tampa. And Cole was saying, no, no, you haven't done anything to deserve it. You lost last week. So we'll see where that goes. I think it is going to result into a Dream versus Cole match for the NXT Championship. And I think that's where we will have Adam Cole lose that championship belt and hopefully go up to SmackDown with the whole Undisputed Era. After that, we had the British. It was announced this week that the British Bulldog will finally be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, which is awesome. Shout out to all of his family. Cool to see him finally being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Now let's go back and talk about Friday Night SmackDown. That Roman Reigns promo was a really good promo. Some people will think differently, but honestly, it was cool. Empty arena, just to see him basically saying, of people, oh, how are you going to come out and just demand a match? He's saying, he's been saying, no, I've been working ever since I came back. I've been working to get that top spot back. And, it's my time. And, whether fans like it or not, it's my time to take over. He was basically saying, Goldberg's a part timer. I'm a full timer. I main event basically every time I'm on SmackDown. So why not main event at WrestleMania? They won't main event at WrestleMania whenever WrestleMania happens, but still, that was a really good promo. Now, let me talk to you guys real quick for a couple minutes of the promo between John Cena and Bray Wyatt. This was at the end. John Cena came out saying, basically saying that he didn't like that Bray Wyatt was blaming him for his failures in the WWE, that, Bray Wyatt has gotten so many chances and he's messed up, by himself, that instead of blaming Cena, he should be blaming himself, right? Just I kind of got somehow some way of a heelish feeling from this John Cena promo. And then we had Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt came out and basically told him, you know what, John, you only care about yourself. 6 years ago when you beat me at Mania, it did destroy me. It led me down a spiral in the company. But that's because, I guess, kind of in a way saying, hey, you should have done me that favor and put me over to the moon instead of beating me and not burying me, but in a way, kind of, because it did lead into that. It led into Bray Wyatt losing matches after matches. He never, he lost to Taker, he lost to Orton, he's lost so many matches that it was ridiculous, right? There was people that were like, well, that's it. Bray Wyatt is officially done. And then he reinvented himself with this Fiend character. But it was a really good promo. I think the crowd would have gone crazy if there was any crowd. What I was thinking for SmackDown, I was like, maybe they should have had all their heel and face wrestlers in the stands, kind of cheering. Heels cheer for heels, faces cheer for faces, or I don't care. Put sound bites, sound effects of the crowd or whatever. But this was a really good promo. It was a really good way to finish it and to build up that match. Like I said, Bray Wyatt was just telling him, you're selfish. You're talking about that you care about the future when you don't. You only care about yourself, Cena. And it was cool because, like I said, Cena kind of had that heelish, in a way. I don't know what you guys think, but it was kind of like a heelish promo. And Bray Wyatt was kind of looking like the face, saying, hey, you only care about yourself and this and that. So, that was pretty cool to see. Now, before I get into my AEW experience or whatever, I'm looking here on WrestleNews.co. He was basically saying in the news right now is Booker T was saying on his show, on his Hall of Fame show or whatever, basically he was saying that Eric Bischoff should not be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And this is what Booker T said. He said, he did a lot of great things. Like I said, he was one of the guys that said, Book, I will make you rich, man. Just stick with me. I've never had anything but good things to say about Eric Bischoff. You're never going to hear me say anything negative about Bischoff because, he believed in me. He believed in something. He believed in one thing, and that was making all professional wrestlers just as highly paid as football players. And all other entertainers in other genres. He actually said and told me that. Very commendable. He did a great thing for the boys. But let me see. Yeah, but I mean, let's see. But oh, right here it says. But on the other hand, I always thought that when Bischoff stopped running the company and became a star on the WCW show, I think that was the beginning of the end. I think that there was no way he could actually manage or micromanage the company, from that perspective. There was no way when you're in the middle of it, you have so much fun, people going crazy for you, man, huge pops every week. Booker T would finish by saying how he believed this was the beginning of WCW's demise. Therefore, Bischoff shouldn't be inducted in the Hall of Fame. I just thought, I just thought that was the recipe for disaster and the demise at the end of the day for WCW. I don't know how people can say, well, Vince McMahon, he played a part in the company. Well, it was his money, it was his company. Eric Bischoff was just hired to do a certain job, and I say the same thing about Russo. Vince Russo was hired as a writer. He wrote himself in the show. When you start literally going into the business for yourself and you're the guy who's running the company, reminds me of everyone on those indie promoters. Well, so I mean, basically, there's more that he said on that, but basically saying, he basically is just saying that he doesn't believe that Eric Bischoff should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, I think he does is because he did have a big part. He's the one that brought in Hall, Nash, Hogan. He brought them together as the NWO. He was the creator. Yeah, was he in the NWO? Yeah, but I mean, he was a creator. He was the one who pushed them as much as he could. So why not? He should have been in there. Oh, look. I just found the WWE Friday Night SmackDown overnight ratings. Let's see. Let's see what it says. So it says the overnight ratings from Friday Night SmackDown are in. The episode drew an average of 2.588 million viewers, which is up from last week's episode that did an average of 2.53. The first hour saw it pull 2.673 million viewers, but hour two dropped to 2.503. So that's not bad, honestly. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, it did drop in the second hour, which kind of sucked. But I mean, they drew an average of 2.5, which is up from last week's 2.43. That's pretty awesome. Let me see what else I can find in the news before I get into it. Oh yeah, also for next week on Friday Night SmackDown, the contract signing of Rob Gronkowski. I guess that's when it's gonna be official. Paige was supposed to be on SmackDown, but she wasn't able to be there due to travel issues. Let me see what WrestleNews.co has to say. Yeah, due to travel issues, which is what Michael Cole said. So, I mean, at least that wasn't a lie. Upcoming AEW Dynamite shows in Milwaukee and St. Louis will be relocated due to the stuff that is happening in the world. Let me see. It says right here that Tampa will likely pull the plug on WrestleMania 36 if WWE doesn't postpone it first. Cool. So this is going to be the last talking point that I want to get into before we get into my experience at AEW Dynamite. WrestleMania 36. Whether if I believe the show should go on. I have mixed feelings about that. Now, yesterday on SmackDown, yesterday on Busted Open, I heard Tommy Dreamer and Mark Henry talk about when they did Monday Night Raw after 9/11 and why Vince did it. They said Vince didn't do it for the money. He did it because he knew that the world, what happened, not in the world, but what happened in the country, though it did affect the world worldwide. But that Vince wanted to still put on, he knew that people would be watching and wanted to put on smiles. And I know it's a whole different situation for WrestleMania 36 because people were saying, oh, he's money driven and this and that. I think it has to do, maybe it's a 50-50. Money driven, and maybe he does want to put on a show because he knows what is going on in the world. He knows he's thinking if we still put on the show somehow, some way, we could still bring a lot of joy to the people who are dealing with all the stress that is going on in the world. And I totally agree with that. If that's the case, cool. But if it's money driven, then not cool. The biggest thing is, I think the only way you still can put it on April 5th is empty arena, whether empty stadium or whatever the case is. If the wrestlers want to do it, if none of them are infected, if they're all good to go and are motivated to put it on, even in an empty arena or an empty stadium, cool, do it. But if it's too dangerous, don't put your superstars, don't put their health on the line. Don't risk it. Postpone it. Cancel it. Steven Larson from Going in Raw, we're saying they said if they were to do maybe one match a week on Raw or whatever, kind of do a slow week to week WrestleMania. I mean, I guess that would be a good idea. But, I think my best thing would be to postpone it. I understand, like I said, I understand whether it's money driven or whether it's just wanting to bring entertainment to the people while everything is going on. But still, we'll see next week when I report to you guys next week about what's going on with WrestleMania. But like I said, that thing right there is saying that most likely it's going to be canceled, that Tampa will pull the plug on it if WWE doesn't do anything. So to finish off right now on talking about the whole AEW experience, I want to give a quick shout out to David Denton once again from Trash Talk my bad, turnbuckletrash.net. Again, that is turnbuckletrash.net. The man, David Denton, he's a really cool dude, a really good fan. He's a fan of all promotions, which is awesome. So check them out. Also, check out, let me see, I don't want to botch this. They botched mine. Haha. Which, I understand. But let me check this. It is called. It's Dave and Jay's Powerbomb. It's an AEW talk show. These guys are straight AEW fans. I guess they used to be WWE fans, but not anymore. So it's Dave and Jay's Powerbomb. The link will be in the description down below. Also, turnbuckletrash.net. That link will be in the description down below, so you guys can go click on them, support them. Any other person that is doing this as well, hit me up, give you guys a shout out on here. The whole point is try to support each other instead of trying to put each other down, because we're all trying to get to that level that we all want to be. Maybe the level that they want to get at is different than mine, but still help each other out. That's the goal. So now let's get into the whole experience at AEW Dynamite. I'm going to try to wrap it up as quick as I can. Almost going on an hour, probably a little bit over. But anyways, it was a really good show. It was fun. It was an average of, I'm going to say, between 4,000 to 6,000 fans. The reason, like I said last week, the reason I was going is because I knew it wasn't going to sell out. A lot of people were saying, hey, this show isn't selling out, or whatever the case is, like I said, here it's not a big wrestling state. Whether people here want to agree or they don't want to agree, it's not that big of a wrestling state. Yeah, they did have, I think, close to 14,000 fans for WWE Raw, but the biggest thing I heard about AEW was there wasn't that much promotion. These guys didn't promote that well. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully the fans that were here, that did go to the show, that maybe it was enough for them to come back. I think also one of my comments that I was saying was maybe because of what happened, that maybe that was the reason that not that many people wanted to go out. Like I said, this past Thursday is when they announced it here in the state of Utah. We were lucky enough to go out before, we were lucky enough that AEW Dynamite did this basically the date before it was announced. And it was a fun show from, they start off with AEW Dark. That was a little bit weird. I mean, it wasn't weird. It was just the matches. They were good matches. I'm not gonna give you guys any spoilers on that, but they were good matches. And like I said, the atmosphere was cool. Whether we're between the 4 to 6 thousand fans, it was a really good atmosphere. You really cannot deny that it wasn't a good atmosphere, because it was. Fans were into it. They were chanting everything. They did everything that they could to basically let AEW know, hey, we're 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 fans. We love that you guys are coming here. Like I said, they are a new company. Some people are WWE only. I like all promotions, so that's the difference. So real quick, I want to go through these comments because I posted on a group that we have for all the Utah pro wrestling fans, basically saying, hey, let me know what you guys think. So Kobe Fitzgerald says that he was surprised on how small the crowd was, and like I told him, maybe because AEW is new and because of what's going on in the world, still, like I said, it was between 4 to 6 thousand people. Um, Jason Wild said that he thought that it was awesome, that the crowd was hot but small. He said that he thought it was 10 times the better show than Raw was when Raw came in February. Robert Weber said that the show was great. No one cared about the crowd size. We were all having a good time. Um, LJ Saporita, again, sorry if I'm botching the name. He said that it was interesting to see a first timer going. He said it was interesting as a first timer going to a wrestling show, being around other wrestling fans, cheering and booing the wrestlers we like and we don't like, getting compliments on his John Moxley hoodie that he had on, and giving compliments back to other people. He said it was a great atmosphere to be in and was a great AEW show. Don't know why it took me so long to go to a wrestling show. Definitely will be going more in the future. Anthony Tovar said, probably my favorite wrestling show I've ever been to, even more fun than Double or Nothing in Vegas last year and the Ring of Honor 13th anniversary, which are two of my which are my top two favorite wrestling shows of all time. Keith Cadwell said AEW shows are so much fun. I enjoy the interaction with the crowd during the breaks and after the show, bringing out a bunch of the roster for a group hug in the ring to celebrate Matt Jackson's birthday after the show was great. Matthew Lee said it was a great show from top to bottom. The best show I've ever been to. Admittedly, I've only been to a handful of live shows, but I've been a huge pro wrestling fan since the 80s. I've been watching since birth, LOL. And this definitely lived up and surpassed my expectations. Having Lance Archer make his first appearance was awesome. And one thing you can say, without a doubt, that AEW truly cares about its fan base. As a longtime fan of the Young Bucks since they were Generation Me and Impact, Cody Rhodes, and just the elite in general. I was not disappointed at all. The only thing that disappointed me was the fact that Darby and Kenny Omega were both out with injuries. Would have loved to have seen Darby. That is true. I was sad that we couldn't see Kenny Omega, Darby Allin, and John Moxley. I guess John Moxley was selling that power bomb that he took the previous week, but still would have been awesome to see them. Um, Cody Young says it was a great show, even not feeling the best. I am glad that I went and had a great time. One thing that came across to me is that the talent are having fun and care about the fans. Cole even went out of his way to come up to us, not us to him after the show, to talk to and take a picture with my friends and son. Derek Hubbard, this is the last comment. Derek Hubbard said it was all right. Felt like some of the matches were dragged, namely the women's match and the Jurassic Express match. I wanted to see Darby and Moxley. To me, it is hard to gauge how over someone is until you see and feel the crowd. Cody presents himself as an overstar. I wanted to see how Moxley and Darby compare. The sparse crowd hurt the experience, he says. It is hard to come across as a major league in arena that is less than 1/3 full. And what I responded to him, let me see. I know I responded. Hold up, too many comments. The biggest thing that we told him is like, yeah, we agree with the whole Mox and Darby thing, but we told him, hey, it was still 4 to 6,000 fans. The atmosphere was great, and like I said, because of what is going on in the world, not that many people want to go out. Like I said, I went out to the stores this morning with my wife and my kids, and it was a crazy experience. Seeing a lot of empty shelves that people just panicking and going crazy. So yeah, that pretty much sums up my AEW Dynamite Utah debut experience. Like I said, it was a really fun show. I hope they come back next year. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Hopefully once we get past all this stuff that is going on in the world, hopefully we do get to that point where they do come back. Maybe next time WWE comes. Like I said, I didn't go to the Raw show because I knew AEW was coming and I knew it wouldn't sell out. A lot of the places were covered off, but I knew that they wouldn't sell out. So I figured, hey, might as well go out to a show before they don't ever come back again. But hopefully the crowd was hot enough. I feel like it was hot enough that these guys will come back. So I want to thank AEW for coming out to the Maverick Center. I want to thank you guys all for listening. Hopefully this podcast distracted you guys for, the hour or so that you listen. Hope all you guys stay safe out there. Hit that like, comment, subscribe button. Hopefully next week I can bring you guys a way better episode, a little bit more polished in a way, a little better sounding. Again, sorry about my voice. Lost my voice. Sorry about the way that I sound because I lost my voice on Wednesday. Straight up lost it within the first 10 minutes of that Cody and Ortiz match. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Again, this is Kevin. This was the First Pin podcast. I'm signing off. I'll see you guys next week. Stay safe out there.